Welcome, curious minds, to the deep dive. Today, we're diving into a specific chapter from Raven Biology of Plants, our mission, to really unpack the molecular composition of plant cells. We want to pull out the key stuff, the foundational chemistry that makes plants tick and make it accessible. We're hunting for those aha moments.
It really is elegant, the way nature works. Life uses, well, just a handful of elements to create all this incredible diversity.
Yeah.
Think about chili peppers, for instance, a great example. As they ripen, you see that color change, right? Green to red, that's carotenoids, different pigments being made.
Okay.
And then there's capsaicin. That's the molecule giving the heat, the burn we feel. But what's really clever is it puts off mammals like us, or, deer maybe.
Right.
The birds.
Yeah.
They don't feel it at all. So they happily eat the fruit, fly off, spread the seeds. Perfect dispersal. It's a neat chemical trick. And it hints at this whole intricate molecular world we're about to get into.
That's a fantastic example. Okay, let's unpack this then, starting right at the bottom. What are plants actually made of, element-wise?
Well, fundamentally, all matter is elements. But for life, evolution was incredibly picky, you could say. Out of all the natural elements, really only 6 are the main players. Carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. You might know the acronym CHNOPS.
CHNOPS, right. I remember that.
Yeah. And those 6 make up something like 99% of all living matter. It's amazing. Carbon's versatility, hydrogen and water, oxygen for energy, nitrogen and proteins, phosphorus for DNA and energy, sulfur for proteins. It's a core team.
99%. Just from 6 elements.
Yeah.
That really is efficient. So, okay, if those are the stars, what else is in the mix? Because when you think about a plant, it feels wet.
Exactly. Water is dominant, H2O. It's more than half of all living matter by weight, and for most plant tissues, it's over 90%. Huge amount.
90%.
Yeah. Then you have essential ions like potassium, calcium. Super important, but they only make up about 1% or so.
Okay, so take out the water, take out the ions.
Yeah.
What's left? What's the actual stuff, the dry weight?
Right. Almost everything else that makes up that dry weight falls under the category of organic molecules. And the defining feature there is carbon.
Carbon.
Carbon is, well, special. It can form 4 strong covalent bonds. That's where atoms share electrons, remember? This lets it build incredibly long chains, branch structures, stable rings, just a huge variety of shapes. That's why it's the backbone, the framework for all the complex molecules of life.
And here's what gets me. Even with thousands of different organic molecules in a cell, it seems that only 4 main types do most of the heavy lifting for that dry weight, the principal players.
That's right. Despite the variety, it boils down to 4 main classes: carbohydrates, lipids, proteins, and nucleic acids.
Okay.
They all have carbon and hydrogen. Most have oxygen, too. Then proteins add nitrogen and sulfur and nucleic acids, plus some lipids bring in nitrogen and phosphorus. It's like a very organized molecular toolkit.
Right, the core team. So let's start with the most abundant ones, right? The carbohydrates. These are huge in nature, used for energy, structure, just fundamental.
Absolutely fundamental. And they come in different sizes.
Yeah.
The simplest are the monosaccharides, single sugars. Think glucose, fructose, ribose. You've heard of those?
Yeah, glucose especially.
Exactly. Their general formula is kind of like CH2ON, which is where the name carbohydrate comes from, carbon plus water, basically.
Ah, okay.
And they have lots of these hydroxyl groups, the OH groups, which makes them really hydrophilic. They love water, dissolve easily. And interestingly, in water, they usually flip from a straight chain shape into a ring structure. It's more stable that way. Glucose, yeah, it's the key energy currency and building block.
Okay, so single sugars are the base units.
Yeah.
How do they link up to do these bigger jobs, like storage and structure?
Good question. They link up to form disaccharides, 2 sugars. Sucrose, table sugar, is the classic example. That's 1 glucose linked to 1 fructose. And the linking process, it's called dehydration synthesis. You basically remove a water molecule to form the bond. This takes energy.
Dehydration, taking water out. Makes sense.
Yep. And the reverse, breaking the bond, is hydrolysis. You add water back in, and that releases energy. Plants use sucrose a lot for transport, moving sugar from leaves to, say, roots or fruits. It's their delivery truck for sugar.
Got it. So single sugars, double sugars, and then the really big ones, the polysaccharides, many sugars.
Exactly. These are polymers, long chains of monosaccharides, and they have 2 main gigs: energy storage and structural support.
Let's talk storage first.
Okay. In plants, the main storage polysaccharide is starch. It's made of alpha-glucose units. There are 2 forms: amylose, which is just a long, unbranched coil, and amylopectin, which is branched. Plants pack this away as little starch grains.
Like tiny energy reserves?
Precisely. Animals use glycogen, which is similar but even more branched. And interestingly, some plants, like grasses, use fructans, polymers of fructose. These are water-soluble and can be stored in vacuoles at high concentrations without messing up the cell's water balance too much. It's a neat adaptation.
So different strategies depending on the plant and maybe its environment. Clever. But beyond energy, you said structure. And this is where cellulose comes in, right? The most abundant organic molecule on Earth.
That's the one. It's the main ingredient in plant cell walls. Think wood, cotton. That's mostly cellulose.
Now, what's fascinating here, as you pointed out, is that cellulose is also made of glucose, just like starch. But the linkage is different.
Exactly. It's a subtle but crucial difference. Starch uses alpha-glucose linkages, which makes the chains coil up good for packing energy away. Cellulose uses beta-glucose linkages.
Beta-glucose, okay.
And that beta link forces the glucose units into long, straight, unbranched chains. These chains then line up side by side and bond together to form these incredibly strong, rigid microfibrils.
Like tiny, super strong cables.
Perfect analogy. That rigidity is what gives plant cells their strength, allowing plants to stand tall. It's why cellulose is so tough to digest for most animals. That structure is hard to break down. It's basically fiber for us.
A tiny chemical change with massive consequences for the entire planet, really.
Absolutely. And these cellulose cables are embedded in a matrix, kind of like reinforced concrete. The matrix includes other polysaccharides like hemicelluloses and pectins. Pectins are also the stuff that makes jam gel, where they form the middle lamella, the glue between plant cells.
Right.
And just quickly, another structural one is chitin, found in fungi cell walls and insect shells. Similar idea, different sugar unit.
Okay, so carbs are for energy and structure. Let's switch gears. What about the molecules that don't like water? The lipids, fats, oils, waxes. They seem totally different.
They are quite different, primarily because they're hydrophobic water-fearing. They don't dissolve in water. And while some are big, they aren't technically polymers like carbs or proteins. Their roles are crucial, though. Dense energy storage, forming membranes, and protective coatings.
Energy storage first. How do they compare to carbs?
They pack way more punch. Fats and oils, known as triglycerides, store about 9.1 kilocalories per gram. Compare that to carbs at around 3.8.
Wow, more than double.
Yeah, so they're great for storing a lot of energy in a small space, like in seeds. Structurally, it's one glycerol molecule linked to 3 fatty acid molecules, again, formed by dehydration synthesis.
Okay. And the difference between a fat, like butter, and an oil, like olive oil?
It's down to the fatty acids. Saturated fats have fatty acid chains with only single bonds between carbons. They're straight chains, packed tightly, and tend to be solid at room temp. Think animal fats.
Right.
Unsaturated fats have one or more double bonds in their fatty acid chains. These double bonds create kinks, like bends in the chain.
Okay.
So they can't pack as tightly, making them liquid oily at room temperature, common in plants.
So the kinks make them flow. Got it. Now, this raises an important question. If lipids hate water, how on earth do they form cell membranes, which are surrounded by water inside and out?
Brilliant question. That's where phospholipids come in. They're like modified triglycerides. They have a glycerol, 2 fatty acids, and then this is key, a phosphate group, which is polar and often has another polar group attached.
So part of it is different.
Exactly. This gives them a sort of split personality. They have a hydrophilic, water-loving head, the phosphate part, and 2 hydrophobic, water-fearing tails, the fatty acids.
Head loves water, tails hate it.
Yep. And if you throw them in water, they do something amazing. They spontaneously arrange themselves into a phospholipid bilayer. All the heads face outwards toward the water, and all the tails tuck inwards, hiding from the water.
The self-assembly.
Precisely. And that bilayer structure is the fundamental basis of all cell membranes. It's elegant.
It really is. Okay, beyond membranes, lipids also do protection, right? Waxes and things.
Yes, crucial protective barriers, especially against water loss. You have cutin and suberin, which are these polymer matrices that embed waxes. The cuticle on leaves and stems, that's wax embedded in cutin. Often there's even a surface layer of pure epicuticular wax that shine on an apple, for example.
Makes water beat up.
Exactly. Suberin is big in cork cell walls, making cork waterproof and tough. And waxes themselves are the most water-repellent lipids.
And what about steroids? They're lipids, too. They sound different.
They are lipids, but yeah, structurally distinct. Their signature is 4 interconnected rings of carbon atoms. A common type in cell membranes are sterols, steroids with a hydroxyl word group. Plants have things like sitosterol, fungi have ergosterol, animals have cholesterol. They fit into the membrane and help stabilize it, kind of modulate its fluidity.
So membrane stabilizers.
Primarily, yes. Though some steroids also act as hormones, like brassins in plants, which promote stem growth. Tiny amounts, big effects.
Okay, wow. Carbs for structure and energy, lipids for boundaries, and dense storage. But what about the actual machinery? The things doing the work, catalyzing reactions? That sounds like proteins.
Absolutely. Proteins are incredibly versatile. In many organisms, they're the most abundant organic molecules by dry weight, although in plants, cellulose boosts the carbohydrate percentage. Still, proteins do a staggering number of jobs.
And they're built from
They're polymers of amino acids. There are 20 common types used to build proteins.
20 building blocks.
Yep, and plants are amazing. They can synthesize all 20 they need, pulling nitrogen from the soil. Animals, including us, can't make all of them. We have to get certain essential amino acids from our diet.
Right, and each amino acid has a similar core structure.
It does. A central carbon atom bonded to an amino group, banish NH2, a carboxyl group, banish COOH, a hydrogen atom, and then the unique part, the R group, or side chain.
The R group.
That R group is different for each of the 20 amino acids, and it determines the amino acid's specific properties. Is it acidic, basic, polar, nonpolar? That's key for how the protein will eventually fold.
So these amino acids link up. How?
They link via peptide bonds, again through dehydration synthesis, losing a water molecule to connect the carboxyl group of one to the amino group of the next. This forms a long chain called a polypeptide.
A polypeptide chain, but that's just a string, right? How does it become a functional protein? You mentioned folding.
Right, the folding is everything. It happens in levels. The sequence itself, the specific order of amino acids in the chain, that's the primary structure. It's dictated by the genes, the DNA.
A blueprint.
Exactly. Then parts of that chain start to spontaneously twist into coils called alpha helices or fold into zigzag patterns called beta-pleated sheets. That's the secondary structure, held together by hydrogen bonds along the polypeptide backbone. Some proteins, called fibrous proteins, are mostly just these structures giving strength.
Okay, coils and sheets. Then what?
Then the whole polypeptide, with its helices and sheets, folds up into a specific, complex, three-dimensional shape. This is the tertiary structure. It's determined by all sorts of interactions between those R groups, attractions, repulsions, sometimes even strong covalent bonds called disulfide bridges between sulfur-containing amino acids.
So the R groups dictate the final 3D shape.
They do. And that 3D shape is critical for the protein's function. Most enzymes, for example, are globular proteins with very specific tertiary structures. This folding is also why proteins can be sensitive. Heat, extreme pH, they can disrupt the folding, causing denaturation.
Like cooking an egg white.
Perfect example. The protein unfolds, loses its shape, loses its function. It's usually irreversible.
And is there a fourth level?
Sometimes, yes. Quaternary structure. That's when a functional protein is actually made up of two or more separate polypeptide chains associating together, like building a complex machine from several parts.
Incredible layers of complexity. Now, you mentioned enzymes. They seem vital for making things happen in the cell. Can you elaborate on them? They are proteins, right?
Yes, most enzymes are globular proteins, and they are absolutely vital. They act as biological catalysts.
Catalysts, speeding things up.
Exactly. They speed up chemical reactions, often by millions of times, by lowering the energy barrier, the activation energy needed to get the reaction started. And they do this without being used up themselves, so they can work over and over.
Super efficient.
Extremely. And you can often tell an enzyme by its name. They usually end in A's. Like amylase breaks down amylose starch, sucrase breaks down sucrose. There are thousands known, each specific to a particular reaction. Life basically couldn't happen at normal temperatures without them.
Okay, we've got structure, energy, boundaries, workers. What about the information itself, the blueprints, and the immediate energy to power all this work? That must be nucleic acids.
You got it. Nucleic acids, DNA, and RNA are the information molecules. And they are polymers of nucleotides.
Nucleotides, what are they made of?
Each nucleotide has three parts: a phosphate group, a 5-carbon sugar, and a nitrogen-containing base.
Phosphate, sugar, base. Okay.
The sugar is key for distinguishing the two main types. If the sugar is deoxyribose, you get DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. If the sugar is ribose, you get RNA, ribonucleic acid.
Just one oxygen difference in the sugar?
Just one oxygen atom, yep. DNA is typically the double helix structure we all know, carrying the genetic code organized into genes. It's the master blueprint, and it's usually the largest molecule in the cell.
Massive.
Huge. RNA, with ribose, has various roles, mostly involved in translating that DNA code into proteins. Some RNAs, called ribozymes, can even act as enzymes themselves, which is pretty cool.
So DNA stores the info, RNA helps use it, but this raises an important question. Building proteins, replicating DNA, all that folding, it takes energy. Where does the cell get the instant energy currency for all this?
Excellent point. That currency is ATP, adenosine triphosphate.
ATP, I've heard of that. It's a nucleotide too.
It's a modified nucleotide. It's basically adenosine monophosphate, AMP, which is adenine base, ribose sugar, one phosphate with two extra phosphate groups tacked on.
Triphosphate. 3 phosphates.
Right. And those bonds linking the second and third phosphates are relatively high energy, but also relatively easy to break by hydrolysis.
Okay.
So when the cell needs energy for a reaction, it breaks off that third phosphate group. ATP becomes ADP, adenosine diphosphate, plus a free phosphate, and that releases a packet of usable energy.
Like snapping off a piece to pay for something.
Exactly. Think of ATP as the cell's rechargeable battery. Cellular respiration and photosynthesis are constantly recharging ADP back into ATP, storing energy. Then ATP gets spent all over the cell to power processes. It's a constant cycle.
A universal energy currency. Makes sense. Okay, so we've covered the big 4. Carbs, lipids, proteins, nucleic acids. These are the primary metabolites, right? Found everywhere, essential for basic life. But plants also make all these other weird and wonderful molecules, the ones that give them specific smells, colors, or defenses. What are those?
Yes. Those are the secondary metabolites. For a long time, people thought they were just waste products, but now we know they're incredibly important for the plant's survival and interaction with its environment.
Not waste, but weapons and signals.
Pretty much. Things like defense against herbivores or pathogens, attracting pollinators or seed dispersers, protecting against UV light, even competing with other plants. They're often made only in certain tissues or at certain times and stored safely, usually in the vacuole, so they don't harm the plant itself.
Smart. What are the main types?
There are 3 major classes. First, the alkaloids. These are nitrogen-containing compounds, often alkaline, and many have really potent effects on animals, especially humans.
Like what?
Well, think morphine from opium poppies pain relief. Cocaine from coca leaves a stimulant and anesthetic. Caffeine in coffee and tea is stimulant for us, but actually toxic to insects and fungi for the seedling, and it can inhibit growth of competing plants nearby.
Wow, chemical warfare.
Kind of. Nicotine in tobacco is a powerful insecticide and herbivore deterrent. Atropine from deadly nightshade. Used historically to dilate pupils, now used medically. These are powerful chemicals.
Definitely powerful. Okay, alkaloids is one. What's next?
The terpenoids, or terpenes, this is the largest class, thousands and thousands of them. They're all built from 5 carbon isoprene units.
Isoprene.
Yeah, isoprene itself is a gas some plants release, especially when stressed by heat. It might help stabilize membranes. It contributes to that blue haze you sometimes see over forests.
Huh, never knew that.
Many familiar smells and flavors come from terpenoids. The essential oils like menthol from mint, the thin to pine trees, floral fragrances. These attract pollinators or repel pests.
Right.
Then you have larger ones. Taxol, the anti-cancer drug, is a terpenoid from yew trees. Originally, getting it killed the tree, but now there are more sustainable ways.
That's good.
The biggest terpenoid of all is rubber. From the latex of the rubber tree, just massive polymers of isoprene. And some terpenoids are toxins, like cardiac glycosides in foxglove and milkweed. They affect heart function.
Poisonous.
Very. But what's fascinating here is the monarch butterfly. Its caterpillars eat milkweed, store those glycosides, and become poisonous themselves. Their bright colors warn birds not to eat them. It's a classic coevolution story.
Amazing adaptation. Okay, alkaloids, terpenoids. What's the third class?
The phenolics. These all have a specific structure, a hydroxyl group attached directly to an aromatic ring. They're everywhere in plants.
Examples.
Big group here are the flavonoids. Many are pigments. Anthocyanins give the reds, purples, blues, and flowers and fruits. Flavones and flavonols tend to be yellowish. These colors attract pollinators, but flavonoids also protect against UV and interact with soil microbes. Sometimes you get copigmentation complexes of pigments and metals, creating really intense blues.
Like in hydrangeas.
Can be involved there, yes. Then there are tannins. These are phenolic polymers that taste bitter and astringent. Think unripe fruit or strong tea. They deter herbivores by binding to proteins. Plants keep them locked safely away in vacuoles.
Smart defense.
And then, hugely important, lignans. After cellulose, lignin is the second most abundant organic compound. It's deposited in the cell wall, adding massive compressive strength and stiffness.
Compressive strength, like resisting being squashed.
Exactly. Lignin is what allowed plants to grow tall and support themselves on land. It fundamentally changed terrestrial ecosystems. It also waterproofs the water-conducting cells and helps defend against fungal attack, a real game-changer molecule.
Wow, lignin sounds crucial. Any other key phenolics?
One more worth mentioning is salicylic acid. You might know its derivative, aspirin, from willow bark.
Right, pain relief.
In plants, it's a key signal molecule for triggering systemic acquired resistance, or SAR. When one part of the plant is attacked by a pathogen, salicylic acid signaling helps activate defenses throughout the entire plant, providing broader, long-lasting protection. It's like a plant-wide immune alert. It can also trigger heat production in some weird flowers, like the voodoo lily.
A molecule with a long history for us and vital for the plant's own defenses. Incredible. So what does this all mean for you, the learner, taking this journey with us?
We've gone from just 6 basic elements to this staggering molecular diversity. We saw carbohydrates providing energy and structure, lipids forming boundaries and storing dense energy, proteins as the versatile workers and catalysts, and nucleic acids holding the blueprints and managing energy currency. And then layered on top of that essential toolkit, you have the secondary metabolites, the alkaloids, terpenoids, phenolics, giving plants their unique flavors, colors, defenses, and ways of interacting with the world. It really underscores that these molecules don't act alone. It's this incredibly complex interplay, these molecular dramas unfolding constantly within the plant cell. And scientists are still unraveling so much of it.
Yeah.
Which, raises an important question as we wrap up. Considering the sheer chemical ingenuity plants demonstrate for survival and communication, what other molecular secrets are they still holding? What haven't we discovered yet?
A great question to ponder as you continue your own deep dives. Until next time, keep exploring the incredible world around us.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into plant molecules.
We appreciate your curiosity. Keep learning.